Is it possible to have a dream which accurately predicts future events? In this video, we're going to explore a fascinating topic, which is that of psychic dreams. And as much as that sounds like something straight out of a fiction novel, did you know that there's a significant body of scientific research into this topic, such as this book here called Dream Telepathy: Experiments in Nocturnal ESP. It describes a series of 450 experimental trials investigating the possibility of extrasensory perception in dreams. Incredible stuff. And as I'll share, the results of this research are truly mind-blowing and extremely important with massive implications. Could it be that there is some truth to this extraordinary possibility of psychic abilities within every single one of us? If so, it goes without saying that this would change life on Earth as we know it and would be one of the most significant discoveries in all of human history. So let's dive in. So my name is Jonas. Welcome back to a channel dedicated to psychedelic education and consciousness exploration. The mission continues today, my friends, to prove that the consciousness within each one of us is so much more mysterious than anything we've even begun to discover. Now, psychic abilities are widely dismissed in the scientific community, and yet, as I've shared in previous videos, there's a massive amount of scientific research into this topic and a wealth of statistical evidence supporting the reality of remote viewing and psychic abilities. It's interesting to consider how dreams fit into all of this because, as this article states, approximately 2/3 of all reported spontaneous cases of extrasensory perception, or ESP, occur while the experient was in an altered state of consciousness, particularly while dreaming. And all throughout history, there have been countless reports of dreams predicting future events. One of the most famous examples involves none other than Abraham Lincoln. Did you know that just a few days before his assassination, Lincoln described a dream which seemed to predict his own death? He told his wife and a few close colleagues that he had a dream in which he was in the White House and walked into the East Wing to find some sort of funeral procession. He saw a casket with a corpse inside, guarded by soldiers and surrounded by a crowd of mourners. And out of curiosity, Lincoln asked one of the soldiers, "Who is this? Who died?" And the soldier told him, "It's the president. He's been assassinated." Again, this was just a few days before Lincoln was in fact assassinated, and it's remarkable to consider. I mean, was this just some amazing coincidence, or is there some deeper mystery here? But of course, if we're just looking at one or two cases from throughout history, it's easy to claim that this was just chance or coincidence, and this is where the scientific method comes in, right? This brings us back to this book, Dream Telepathy: Experiments in Nocturnal ESP, which presents the results of a fascinating series of experiments conducted back in the 1970s. It was led by these two researchers, Stanley Krippner and Montague Ullman, who had established a sleep lab at Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn, New York. Their intent was to explore if information could be telepathically sent or transmitted to people while they're in a dream state. Again, just an incredible research question. I had to tip my hat to these researchers for conducting this experiment. So here's how the experiments worked. Two people would work as a pair, one as a sender and one as a receiver. The receiver was the subject who would be sleeping in a special soundproof room at the Maimonides Medical Center sleep lab. They would stay overnight at this sleep lab and were hooked up to machinery which monitored their brainwaves and eye movements, and this allowed the researchers to know when the participant ended the REM, or rapid eye movement sleep stage, which is when most dreaming occurs, right? At this point, the sender would open a sealed document which contained a randomly selected image, such as a waterfall or the Mona Lisa painting, and would focus on this target image and attempt to send the image to the person who is dreaming through concentration and mental effort. Soon after that, the receiver would be woken up and asked to describe his or her dream, which was then recorded and transcribed. And this transcription was later given to a panel of independent judges who had no idea what the target image was, right? The judges were then tasked to use this dream description to try to identify the target image out of a series of 8 different images. They repeated this experiment 450 times, and the results truly were incredible because in some cases, the dreams almost perfectly matched the target image, such as an instance where the sender was looking at a picture of a boxing match, and the receiver had a dream about going to Madison Square Garden and attending a boxing match. But what's really amazing here is that over the 450 trials, the hit rate in which the independent judges successfully identified the target image was way higher than what could be expected by chance alone, right? Choosing one image out of 8. In some cases, the hit rate was as high as 50%. Statistically speaking, the researchers estimated that the chance of these results over 450 trials being just chance or coincidence was 1 in 75 million. 1 in 75 million. That is astronomical and astonishing, and again is incredibly compelling evidence that there is something to this. Now, of course, this study was met with all kinds of criticism and skepticism, and this led to another independent research effort. Years later, at a different university, another team of researchers attempted to replicate this study. And this independent team of researchers also found a hit rate that was significantly above what can be attributed to chance alone, and state the study outcome is consistent with a precognitive dreaming interpretation. So what we're looking at here is multiple independent research efforts exploring this phenomenon of dream ESP, who independently reached the same conclusion under rigorous scientific conditions that there is something going on here. There's something to this phenomenon that simply cannot be explained by chance, statistically speaking. And that the human mind, in some extraordinary conditions, does in fact have these anomalous capabilities, which we could describe as psychic, telepathic, or even precognitive. Once again, I just want to pause to invite a moment of feeling in to this possibility that within each one of us, there are these latent abilities, that there is way more to the mystery of consciousness right here and now within each one of us than anything that we're ordinarily aware of. This is potentially game-changing, earth-shaking research here, if we take it seriously, right? If our mind is open to the possibilities. As we've been discussing for years on this channel, this adds to a growing understanding that consciousness goes way beyond the physical brain, that our mind is not produced by, it's not limited to the physical brain. Because if people can telepathically or psychically receive information by some means other than our physical senses, it suggests that there's something non-physical going on here. This suggests that consciousness is way more expansive than we're usually aware of, and somehow interconnected to other people, other beings, and the world around us in a way that we don't yet understand. These are the exact same teachings that have been shared by mystics, by spiritual visionaries, by sages all over the world and all throughout time, right? And I truly believe that this ancient wisdom is exactly what we need in the modern era to help us awaken and evolve and remember our oneness and our interconnectedness and reconnect with the miraculous, mysterious, and transcendent aspects of reality. Well, as always, I'm really curious to hear what you think. Do you find this research compelling? Have you ever had for yourself a dream which seemed to be psychic in nature? Because if so, I would be truly honored if you shared in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for joining me here today, especially if you made it this far in the video. Truly, truly appreciate every single one of you. Please check me out over at Patreon where you can support this work. It goes a really long way in helping me produce these videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see you back here very soon.